Hey guys, it's Turok. Oh, this looks a little off. Let's adjust this a little bit maybe, huh? How's that? Looks better? Button up. Today I'm gonna do we're doing another review of One Piece. The new chapter came out and we get some interesting tidbits on Kuma, and we're flipping back to like other people now. We're not going over what happened with so last chapter we had stuff happening with Marco and Miss Bakken. We learned about Stussie's origins a little bit. Specifically her allegiance to Vegapunk, which I am still a little suspicious of, as I just went over in another video, but we'll see. In the last chapter too, Stussie finally took out Lucci, and the Seraphim were finally stopped with the help of Edison and Lilith. Although it was a close call there, those things clearly react very quickly, even to someone who's technically their boss. No, they're in the hierarchy, they're their administrator, and they'll just take them out because they were told to by someone else. And we found out about one of the Gorosei, and he's on his way with Kizaru right now to the island. And they're still on their way. There's like, we saw Kizaru like 5 chapters ago, I think, and he's still there on his way. And also Edward Weevil was kidnapped. So these events, though, most of these are sidelined, except for, so today we go back to the Straw Hats. Actually, too, the next thing we get that's interesting is the cover story, and we see a cover story showing the Caesar. So this is continuing the Mad's back story, using the cover stories as the to get the cover the main things that happen, interesting points that Oda wants to get across to us. And this showed that Judge, Queen, and Caesar were vying to be the number 2 person behind Vegapunk. What this means exactly, I initially was thinking the way they're all fighting each other, I'm thinking they want some kind of, they're trying to put together like some kind of, loosely speaking, a command structure in Mads to have the others listen to them. But each of these guys are clearly what happened is each of them were too, well, maybe not Caesar, because they're too independent to want to listen to another person like themselves anyways, other than Vegapunk. Because this picture shows like, it shows Queen is in the middle, and he's getting punched by Caesar, while Caesar's facing Judge and trying to kick at him or something, and he's getting cut by Judge's weapon, but it's not actually working because he's a Logia, and Queen's got his fist clenched back in the background, but he doesn't actually hit anyone there. Yeah, so this is interesting that they show this obviously that these guys all being in their own right geniuses, and how would you put it? Just very a good, very, let's just say shoot, I can't think of the right word. Hold on, getting something ready. Such independently minded scientists that they weren't going to be taking orders from one another outside of Vegapunk. So that's probably all part. I'm wondering if this is part of the reason too, though, that Mads could have split up, because these 3 were working too much together. Oh wait, no, Queen is doing something there. He's got his robot arm around Judge's throat. I was wrong. He's trying to do a chokehold. It looks like that cartoon. There's Tom and Jerry, where Tom, Jerry, and that dog Spike that's in some of the episodes are all 3 trying to take each other out. And this is a reminiscent of that. what was I saying? Yeah, maybe Madge partially broke up because Vegapunk couldn't deal with working with these guys anymore, especially if they were going to just cause themselves trouble. Maybe they started like getting after each other by like disturbing each other's experiments and ruining things and making the workplace, as it were, not conducive to working on what the goals that Vegapunk would want to do. So jumping back into the action today of the present part of One Piece, we go back to the bottom area of the of Egghead, and we got the Cypher Pole agents still down below with where they were left by CP0. And I think they were meant to stay there and try to keep the place under control, keep a watch on things, lock it down maybe. And they, what we see here actually happening is other pacifistas have been deployed. Oh, I'm thinking these were the police officer ones. No, but I think they've been deployed. We'll find out that it's what's his name? Oh crap, what's his name now? The sumo guy. He hold on, what's his name? Sentomaru. Yeah, Sentomaru appears to have deployed these things out to help regain control of the island from the Cypher Pole agents. And what we see here of interest is that these are like called what does it say that the chapter title? Mark III. That these appear to be a new generation of the original ones that we saw at Sabaody. That they got Kuma's body style and size in their design, but now we see something very interesting in that they also, kind of like the Seraphim versions, they have devil fruit powers, and in this case they're using Kuma's power of all things. And we see one agent attempt to fire use a rocket launcher against one, and it's blocked, and he creates it looks like a wave of sorts, like a big bubble, and it creates a shield, a thing to deflects the attack here. Actually, at first it shows him like it comes up, looks kind of like a little gooey thing coming out. An interesting interesting way of it being shown. Cause last time I remember Kuma using it, he was had touched Luffy, and it would like a thing would slowly come out. But this looks more like watery. That's what I'm trying to say. And actually, it's called a bubble shield, according to one of these other Cypher Pole agents, and he claims it's the ultimate defense created by Vegapunk. Oh, here's what it says. Yeah. Yeah, and it even states here too that these ones are even more advanced than the ones used at Marineford. So clearly these things are not being. I wonder how Luffy and Sanji or Zoro would stand up to one of these things in terms of being able to take it down, as they initially had a hard time with the original one. They fought one of the original ones at Sabaody 2 years ago, and then at the time skip, so some months back now, they took those things out very easily. But we don't get to know how much of the strength so far they have here, but they are incorporating. Vegapunk has clearly incorporated devil fruit powers this time to them, and. Next, let's see. Inishi. Yeah, and we switch over to the facts. What was this? This is at the Fabrio Stratum. So this must be the area. I think that's where the Straw Hats were originally. And now we switch over to a factory where we see Sentomaru. He's bandaged up by some other scientists there that are surrounding him, and he's trying to assess the situation here. Because the Frontier Dome got sealed off after the Cypher Pole Zero got up there. I still don't think we know how that happened, because somehow it got deactivated. There's something going on here still confusing, right? It got deactivated by somebody. They got up there, and then that's when Stussy made her play and knocked the other two out. But now it's been locked off, And so I think that also is blocking communications here, and Sentomaru can't get a hold of them using a Denden Mushi. And also what's going on here, he's while that's happening, he's getting Sentomaru's getting calls from the Navy, and he's just ignoring them. So he's clearly gonna focus on his allegiance to Vegapunk over the Navy or the Marines here. And so what he does next here is he starts deploying. We find out they got 50 total of these Mark III pacifistas, and all of them look like Kuma. And he sends them out of there. They're on these like big capsules. It looks very much looks like Oda's kind of borrowing from Toriyama in Dragon Ball, where he had Dr. Gero had the androids like 16, 17, and 18 in these big these capsules where like it opened up somehow, like I think an overhead door, and then it had a big glass panel. Then we see a line of these things with the low numbers, like what is that? Going from 9 through 12, and they start opening up, and he's sending these out to stand guard, because he's still suspicious that the Navy will be coming with more reinforcements, I assume, which is, yeah, Kizu's about to come, so this is going to get very a heated battle soon, I assume. Also, what's interesting, I'm wondering if these Seraphim work under the same hierarchy of command. That's not Seraphim, these are just, I think, we can't call these Seraphim, they're pacifistas. I wonder if these work like the Seraphim, where they explained about the hierarchy. So meaning if that Saturn comes, Sentomaru's command as well as the Vegapunks are going to be superseded when he comes there. So yeah, he's sending him out there to make sure that nothing else happens while Luffy and the others have time to escape with Vegapunk. I like how he ends off saying that. Sentomaru says, no matter what happens, ensure your creator escapes. And so one of these things, even like, I wonder if that can help mean something that we were thinking about. I saw Tekken talk about this, where he's saying like maybe did Vegapunk make a way to make sure he actually has command, not the Gorosei, the way that we were explained that the Gorosei have supreme command over these things. Hopefully that if he says with Sentomaru saying this command, I am thinking hopefully that means these things will only listen to him. These ones at least, these Mark IIIs, against anyone else who comes. What else of interest? So yeah, so these got only a couple of them. It looks like, or at least this one battling and taking out the Cypher Paul agents here, and they're probably being forced to retreat, and he's probably regaining control of that area for now. So let's see what's next. So now we switch back to the Straw Hats for a good portion of this, and we get when Luffy's come back to the Stratum area after he's given up trying to find where Vegapunk went off to, and he's reporting back to them, wait a minute, how am I understanding? So he goes there, tells him I couldn't find anything, and then Shaka is there. He points out he finds Bonnie over in the lab, but he can't. Hold on here. So if Shaka sees where Bonnie is, but it seems here he hasn't put together that's probably where Vegapunk is as well. So he starts reporting to them the events that's going on here, that they're not going to leave yet because they can't. First, he brings up how they lost control of the Frontier Dome, and that the Stella, as they call him, the Stella has disappeared. They just say the Stella has disappeared. We get a neat little background of this big panel here as this is happening, and we can see that Atlas has got Atlas is in this background here. We see that Atlas has been repaired with what's the other one? York is there as well. And it's funny, the other Straw Hats now are all decked out. Zoro and Brook now as well with the with outfits matching the stuff they wear there. Brooks looks kind of like a football helmet, with it being over his afro like that. and Stussy too has changed out of her Aegis Zero outfit and into one of these things as well. And this is where Shaka explains about the lasers. Defense has been turned back on and they can't escape until they shut that off. And actually we get an interesting look of the stratum. I kept thinking this thing was just up top of a tower of sorts, but it looks like it's, the way that this illustration is, it shows the dome with like the, whatever, that must be the force field or something, with the egg inside of it. It looks like it's sitting on some kind of clouds. Oh, maybe that's why they call it stratum. Isn't that something with cloud? So they're sitting up there floating, essentially. So this is happening. The others are sort of realizing they can't, are worried because they can't leave yet. And then Shaka's like, no, let's calm down and we'll work on getting out of here. In the meantime, the other Vegapunks find the satellites to search for him. So the others, some of the Straw Hats here decide they'll help form a search party and work together with the satellites to look around. So they start breaking up into little groups. Like, it looks like Nami and Brook are going off together one way, and then Stussy's gonna go off as well with, this looks like Sanji, who's gonna follow her, of course. And Zoro's about to go, but everyone insists that he stays so they don't get lost and can't find him as well. I should get a light here actually, shouldn't I? So him and Luffy are gonna stay behind, it appears, while some of the others all the others go off together. A funny thing too, I forgot to mention it, in the back panel there, when it shows all the satellites together, Nami's trying to kick Lucci and Robin's trying to stop her, like, from attacking him. It's funny that Nami, this is something kind of frustrates me about her. She's a little too hot-headed sometimes. And it's funny that Robin, of all people, who's the one who got kidnapped by them, is trying to keep her from harming these guys. Just because, you know, it's not right. They're knocked unconscious now. There's no point in hitting them when they're down like that. So Pythagoras is already off looking, and so now the next thing is it switches over to we switch over to, this is an interesting bit here. So we switch over to Bonnie here, and it looks like she has somehow been able to enter into her father's memory, and we see her on this grassy field, it looks like, with the wind blowing. And she's in front of this large child who's all dirty and bruised up. And initially she's like able to walk up to him and talk to him. He's like sobbing and everything. And she realizes this is her dad. So clearly Kuma did not have like a nice childhood here. And we see something worse with this, where these other men come up to him forcefully and they're grabbing at him, and he's screaming for young Kuma here is screaming for help, and Bonnie tries running to rescue him, but given it's a memory, for some reason with the memory here, she can't get to where this, it's almost like he moved away into another, she's lapsing into other bits of this memory, and he's now got these men running up to him and beating him with a bat. And he starts saying something here about not being able to go back anymore. I can't take it. I see, right. So these other men apparently are all also people who are being bruised up by someone. And what it hints at here is it looks like they're like slaves of some sort, or labor slaves, something of the Tenryubito, the celestial dragons, because it shows these little silhouettes of them, and as that's kind of happening as it shows these other men these men are clearly upset. I think what's happening here, it looks like, is that the Kuma's escaping, and they're worried if he escapes, they'll be punished worse. So if they went out, a couple of them here, no, 3 at least, no, there's more actually showing up, but more like 4 or 5 of them, it looks like, at least showed up of these other fellow slaves of his as a search party to bring him back so that they all don't get punished. And unfortunately, they're trying to subdue Kuma violently to get him. So a lot to unpack right here. It looks like Kuma actually was a slave to the government as before. So that thing with him we saw him with one of the others back at Reverie. That must have been why he was brought back up there, because he had been a slave to them when he was a child somewhere. Ooh, could this be God Valley? I bet this is God Valley. They said, Sengoku said at that meeting that rocks, when Garp and Roger stopped rocks, it was at God Valley. And they saved the celestial dragons and their slaves. I have a feeling that's where that place is. Oh man, that's something to unpack. How did Kuma escape, and how did he end up becoming the king of the Sorbet Kingdom? I wonder if we can find out what the Sorbet Kingdom is. Like, is it on the Grand Line? Is it in one of the blues? Now it makes more sense too why he would join the Revolutionary Army as an adult. He, much like, some similar kind of the Boa Hancock and Fisher Tiger, they understand how terrible the world government is. So that also brings up a question too. What else inspired Dragon and Ivankov, for example, to start forming this army? We know the final linchpin for Dragon was the incident at Ohara, but something else I'm wondering must have happened with him. A lot of people have speculated that maybe his wife, Luffy's mother, was a celestial dragon, and maybe the relationship maybe because Dragon isn't a celestial dragon, and a celestial dragon probably can't marry any other person who's not a celestial dragon, that the relationship was found out about. Maybe she was executed or something to that effect I heard about. So, but now it's clear here that Kuma, understands the awfulness of the world government, and that's why but I'm wondering still what this means about him taking his memories out here, other than how painful they are, why he did this to himself to become the pacifista, and what he's doing now because it also has this, at the end of this, so what happens next, we see that Bonnie's flung out, or not flung away, she had her hand on the bubble, it looks like, and she's pushed down back by it or something, probably from the maybe she did it herself, because it shows at the end of the memory as her father's being, I guess, dragged back to with the others, that she's crying and stuff, and then she falls down from probably the pain of it. I think that's what this must have been what Vegapunk was trying to warn her about, that this would be very painful if you visited it. Also, there was a brief bit where right before it shows her go up to this memory, where it shows one last time Vegapunk trying to warn her about not going up to it, and she ignores him, and he's still in his little kid form. So, so as that's happening, we go one more time to an scene where Kuma himself is reclimbing up the red wall. I think they successfully shot him down a little bit ago, but he got back up there somehow. And I wonder if they'll call reinforcements in to get him, because clearly whatever they did didn't work. Maybe like one of the admirals would come there. we'll have to see what happens with that. Then we don't get any more on that there. But we go back to Bonnie, and she's like trying to get herself ready to do this again. She's upset with what she saw, and then she prepares to put her hand on the memory again to see what else Kuma was hiding, and that's what the last we see of that in this chapter. Also, that just made me think of something else. What if, because Kuma had told Bonnie about them being a special race. What if there are some other peoples like the Lunarians, for example, also that could be slaves to that were kept alive, that might be slaves at God Valley or even up at Marijwa somewhere. And Kuma, we don't know what Kuma is. There's no signs here of him being like a Lunarian. Actually, there's something interesting about him there. It kind of strikes me as interesting. His size here reminds me of Big Mom as a kid. I'm wondering now, maybe, did I bring that before? I know I talked about Big Mom being different. Maybe Kuma and Big Mom are of the same race. Just look how huge, and Kaido could be somewhere in there too, but he's got those things with the horns where I'm thinking he is different because he's part of some other ogre race, the Oni, whatever they call it. But with Kuma and Big Mom, when you see Bonnie here initially standing near Kuma's child form, and he's sitting down on the ground and he's kind of hunched over this, bawling his eyes out in his knees. Bonnie, I'm not sure, she's probably over 5 feet tall or so, let's say 5'5" or something. Kuma's hunched over form is still bigger than her. And again, this reminds me of how big, we saw Big Mom when, I think she was like 6 or 7, when in that earliest part of the flashback, when she's left behind by her parents. I'm wondering if those weren't really her parents now. I'm thinking, I just thought of a mini theory where maybe she was a slave or something. No, she wasn't a slave. Clearly she wasn't beat up like Kuma here is. I was thinking maybe she was saved from this fate that Kuma seemed to was in as a kid. Or maybe they were of another race, they were not, never captured by the world government, is my point. Let's see. So now we jump to one of what's his name? Which one is that? Pythagoras. Yeah, we jump to one of the satellites, Pythagoras. Actually, I think back there a minute, he was reporting to Shaka where he was at. He was on the 3rd floor of the Tower C. And we see him walking around still searching for the Vegapunk Stella. And he's walking down this bridge. And the last what we see here, wait, what is that? What is that? Something attacks him apparently here. There's a panel where it looks like some projectile. He hears or sees it coming, and a projectile comes at him and destroys the bridge or where he is. So I don't know if that means someone else, one of the Cypher Pole agents saw him, or something else is coming after them now. So we're left there with a cliffhanger with that bit. And now we switch over to the last scene of the chapter, and we see what's his name? Big News Morgans. Big News Morgans. We see his floating ship, and he's just received a report someone reported to him about what's happening at Egghead, how the government is gonna kill Vegapunk. And we see here that he plans to, it seems to me he plans to stop this from happening in some way, not to help the government, but this is a very interesting scene we're going to get at, where I knew that Morgans wasn't some guy we could really trust. He seems like he'll embellish stuff, as we'll see in a moment. but he was like, I do give him some respect for kind of giving a finger to the world government in that last bit where they tried to stop him from posting another story, and they had an undercover agent there, and he socked the guy out. And he brings up, yeah, he even brings up this is like O'Hara all over again, and he thinks that the government's miscalculated, and because he's developed, Vegapunk apparently was the one that could develop electricity in this world. And then he starts reporting he's talking to he must be briefing his other writers, and he then informs them how he also found out that Luffy is there. And this is where the embellishment comes. He tells his employees to make a headline about that Luffy has taken Vegapunk hostage. And then he wants them to even tell the government that so he can get money from them. And this is the most interesting. Well, now we get a big reveal here that Vivi, who we heard was kidnapped and went missing at Reverie, is here with him, as well as Wapol. And Vivi here tells him off. Morgan's off for embellishing, making up a headline like that. And Wapol gets mad. Wapples gets scared that don't say this stuff aloud in case the government's listening. They could kill us. And we see here what Wapples says. Don't be rude to Morgan. He took us in. So it sounds like somehow Morgan saved Vivi, and so Wapol must have got involved in this kidnapping. And now Morgan saved them from this somehow, from whoever the kidnappers were, something there. And this is the other thing that we see how Morgan's true colors. Because Morgan, he's in that last bit. The last time we saw him, I'm not going to listen to the government. I'm a journalist after all. And now we're seeing clearly not really, because a journalist would be someone who would be seeking out the truth. And now he's lying about what Luffy's done, his hand in this incident. And at first he snaps back at Vivi saying, that's big talk with someone I just was crying yesterday. Don't tell me how to do my job. I have power over controlling the world. Not to shake the world, he says. He's clearly getting taking the power of his newspaper in his head. And this is the part where I was saying his journalism reputation is shit, because he says it's not about fact or fiction, it's about entertainment. That's where the chapter ends. So how the hell did Vivi end up there? Also, for some reason, she's in another outfit. Someone behind her, when her and Wapol are sitting at this chair, someone says, "Oh, she actually borrowed my clothes. I'll never wash them again." So Vivi's other outfit was messed up somehow. She must have had a struggle with somebody in her, needed a new change of clothes. I wonder if it was. I kept thinking it was something to do with Cypher Pole. Wasn't something to do with the Gorosei maybe too, because they were upset with something about her. I gotta go back and look into that. So there's some stuff to think about here today. Clearly too, Kuma's power, Kuma's thing, if you touch it, you can go into the memories. Very much, I mentioned like the pensieve from Harry Potter. The only one we saw was it's like a wide, shallow bowl that Dumbledore has in his office, and in that case, you like stick your head in there, and then you're kind of in there in your physical form. I don't know if it's you're physically really in there, and then similar to what's shown here, the pensieve, when you're in there, you can't be seen by the memories. And Bonnie doesn't seem like she didn't realize that just at first, because she's trying to talk to her younger father, sitting out there in the grass. and he can't hear her because it's just a memory. And then she's trying to help him against the others who are attacking him, and she can't. So yeah, very similar here. And I'm worried about what happened to Pythagoras, that someone else might be there. That's right, because someone else might have closed the dome. Well, if someone else is there, that's going to start taking the stellas out, because now they're all separating and looking for the satellites are all separated. Hopefully someone of them will stay with the Straw Hats. They might start getting taken out if someone else is there. Oh, what if there's like, I'm thinking like, what if another agent that's been undercover there, just in case. Like one of my last videos, I was talking about Cypherpol agents hiding among pirate crews. What if there's someone else already there that's gonna start taking out the satellites. Stella's the main one. I keep getting it mixed up. See who's separated now, because we see Shaka, Atlas, Edison, York. Yeah, it looks like basically all of them were there except for, I don't see Lilith though. That's who I don't see. York, Atlas, Edison, Shaka. Yeah, I think it's just Lilith isn't shown in this chapter here. So hopefully she's not by herself, if this is what I'm thinking. Well, that's it for the chapter. Thanks for watching, and I'll probably do a follow-up video.